You. You're the person the world needs. Life is changing, and the future is uncertain. You may not know how or why yet, but you know you're here to make a difference. You're not waiting for the universe to give you the answers. You're finding them for yourself. Challenging echoes with evidence. Few people have great ideas. Even fewer make them happen. It takes a dreamer, an explorer, a researcher, a leader, a thinker. It takes someone like you.
Welcome to the UNSW Year 10 Subject Selection and Information Evening. I'm Bianca, I'm part of the UNSW Future Students team, and tonight we're going to be diving into all things HSC subject selection. Before I begin, I'd like to acknowledge that UNSW is located on the unceded territory of the Bedegal, Gadigal and Ngunnawal peoples. They are the traditional custodians of this land. I'd also like to pay my respects to Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islanders who are joining us tonight. I'm joining you from Bedegal land, so that's where Kensington is located. That's our main campus. And if you're feeling comfortable and you know where you're situated, feel free to pop in your location into the Q&A box on the right of your screen. It would be lovely to see where everyone's located tonight. Okay, so we're going to dive into all things HSC subject selection. Again, a very, very big warm welcome to everybody who has joined us tonight. I want to say a really special thank you to our parents and caretakers. They are the support network. You're going to be making a lot of decisions over the next couple of years, and I just want you to know that you have so much support available. Speak to your parents, chat with an older sibling, perhaps chat with a careers advisor, and universities. Universities are fantastic resources for finding out what it's like to study at university after high school. But what we're going to cover first of all this evening is subject selection. So how are the HSC marks calculated? How is the ATAR calculated? What is an ATAR? We'll have UAC joining us later this evening. So UAC are the University's Admissions Centre. You're going to encounter some new information over the next couple of years, and UAC are going to have a lot to do with you in year 11 and 12. So UAC will explain the ATAR. You'll also hear from a couple of our current students. So they're going to go into the ins and outs of what they were thinking and feeling when they chose their HSC subjects. So you can sort of learn a few little strategies around what they did when they made their choices, and also how they transitioned into university after high school. So a bit of a holistic journey there for you to have a look at. While all of this is happening, we've got our Q&A box on the right of the screen. I know that we've already received so many questions. We've got a fantastic team in the background, feverishly typing away, answering your questions. Please put them in. All of your questions are private, so it is a safe space. You can ask us absolutely anything. After our presentations conclude, we're going to have two Q&A sessions, one for parents and one for students. So we know that those questions from students and parents are a little bit different. They do overlap in a lot of ways, but they're a little bit different. So we have separate ones, but really you're very welcome to join either one. Let's get stuck into it. So as I said, you're going to encounter some new information, and these three acronyms here are going to be so common, I thought that they deserve their own slide. So we've got UAC, the University's Admissions Centre. We have ATAR, Australian Tertiary Admissions Rank, and UAC will go into detail about that. And we also have selection rank. So your selection rank is something that universities look at when it comes to giving you an offer into a program. Your selection rank is made up of your ATAR and any kind of adjustment factors you received. But it's okay. You're at the beginning of your journey. You don't have to remember everything. We don't expect you to walk out of this event after only an hour as an expert in all of this. Take this information away and absorb and ask lots of questions. So I'll hand over to Trudy now. Trudy is from the university's admission centre. Trudy will take you through UAC's role, and then you'll hear from Nish, a current student, about her journey through year 10, 11 and 12. Thanks, Trudy.
As Bianca said, and I'm the Community Engagement Manager at UAC. And you may be wondering who UAC is. Well, UAC is the admissions office for 28 different institutions. We also administer applications for our access scheme, so special consideration, the schools recommendation scheme, which is around early entry, and equity scholarships, which is about money. Now, we're not going to speak about those this evening, but students will find out about them over the coming years before university starts. The one thing we are most known for, however, is the fact that we do calculate all New South Wales HSC students' ATAR. Now, before we talk about the ATAR, what I want to do is talk to you about the difference between HSC marks and the ATAR, because once you understand there is a difference, it is a lot more understandable how the ATAR may look the way it does when you get it. So when we talk about HSC marks, we're talking about the marks that NESA reports to all HSC students once they have completed their exams. HSC marks, of course, are going to tell you about how you have performed in each of the courses you have completed. On the same day, UAC will release the ATAR, and this ATAR is one number that is telling you where you are positioned amongst all other students in the state. So performance versus position. We talk about it like being in a running race because that's really easy to understand, and that is that all HSC students are in the running race, and you may yourself get to the very end of that race and think, well, I have just done my personal best performance. Fantastic. However, you may look around at that finish line and think, well, I have just done my personal best, but when I see where everybody else is, I'm actually positioned in the middle of the pack. So performance versus position. Another way of thinking about it is if I am going to come first in my whole school in biology, fantastic, but now when I put you out with the rest of the cohort of year 12, does that still mean you're going to come first? Not necessarily. In any case, performance versus position, the only thing a student can control in this whole scenario is how well you're going to perform. You can't control your ATAR or your position because you can't control the competition. So it's really about doing the best you possibly can in the courses that you choose. So let's talk about ATAR and eligibility for HSC. To be eligible for the HSC, students must complete 12 units of study in year 11. That is the rules for eligibility for HSC. However, for eligibility for ATAR, we will need 10 units of study. So 10 units of study, which must include 2 units of English, and then 8 units of category A courses, and we must have 4 different subject areas. So that's 2 units of English, another 8 units of category A courses, and of course, as I said, 4 subject areas. Now, to calculate the ATAR, as I said, we need 10 units of study. But what is the ATAR? The Australian Tertiary Admissions Rank is just that. It's a rank, not a mark or a score. It is a number between 0 and 99.95, and it is used for the sole purpose of university entry. So, university entry or universities use this ATAR so that they can rank and select their students. In terms of when we calculate the ATAR, What we do is we're not using HSC marks, we're using scale marks. And this is something that students often talk about in terms of choosing subjects. If I do certain courses, that will scale me up. If I choose other courses, it will scale me down. But that is incorrect. Scaling is just the first step in calculating the ATAR. When we do the calculation, or when we do the scaling algorithm, we're looking at what you have studied and everything else that you've studied to see how or where you are positioned in each of your courses. Scaling is done so that no student is either advantaged or disadvantaged because of their course choice. Some truths about scaling. When we think about scaling, many students feel that we're scaling courses themselves, but in actual fact, we are not scaling courses, we are scaling the academic ability of the students within the course. So, if we think about, when we look at data on the UAC website, many students will look at the scaled mean of a course to determine how their ATAR may come out. However, a high scale mean just is telling us a few things, and that is that a high scale mean tells you about the strength of the competition. Courses with a high scale mean also are just telling us that in general, students within that course have a high academic ability, not just in that course, but in everything else that they are studying. Other courses with a low scale mean is basically just telling us that the academic ability of the students within that course varies from high to low. It does not mean that you can't get a high ATAR that includes a course with a low scale mean. You absolutely can. You just have to be a little bit further to the top of that course to get more benefit from scaling. So that's scaling, but let's look at a scenario of Fred and Laura. Fred and Laura are two students who have studied exactly the same HSC courses. Fred gets marks of 70 and Laura marks of 80. Now, although their marks are only 10 marks apart, their ATARs are 20 marks apart, or 20 points apart, with Fred getting an ATAR of 58 last year and Laura an ATAR of 78. Now, many students will compare Fred's performance, his marks of 70, with his ATAR of 58 and wonder what's gone on. They try and do an algorithm to find out how Fred's ATAR has become so low. But what they're doing is comparing his performance with his position, which really you can't compare because they are numbers that mean totally separate things. And in actual fact, as I said, we don't use HSC marks to, of course, calculate the ATAR. We're using scale marks. If we look at biology, last year a mark of 70 placed Fred in the 37th percentile, meaning that 63% of students got marks better than him. Laura, on the other hand, with a mark of 80 in biology, placed her in the 72nd percentile, meaning that only 28% of students got marks better than her. If we're thinking about the ATAR and that it is all about position, then we need to remember that you have to be getting marks on or above the middle to actually get an ATAR which is on or above the middle. And last year the middle ATAR was 70.4. So that's a little about the ATAR and how it's calculated, but you can find further information, of course, on the UAC website. So let's talk about subject selection. When we talk about subject selection, students should be thinking about, of course, their interests and, of course, what they may want to do when they complete high school. So if I run through some of my slides to catch up, we can see, of course, that for HSC, we need to be thinking about, of course, your interests, what courses the school has on offer, You'd also need to think if the HSC course is a good foundation for university study, and of course, is the course going to meet, the HSC course going to meet any prerequisites that some universities may have. If we are, of course, talking more on subject selection, you've got to think, are you ready? What are your interests? What courses are out there? And of course, you know, you should be checking for any assumed knowledge or course prerequisites. Now, very soon through your school, you will get a UAC book called Steps to Uni for Year 10 students, which will certainly help you with this information. So what's next? As I said before, in Year 11, you should be studying 12 units of study to satisfy that HSC requirement. In Year 12, of course, many students still keep their 12 units, but some students like to drop down to the 10 units. But that is something that you personally need to think about. And you also need to make sure that whatever you're studying in Year 12 is going to set you up for, of course, success at university. The next thing would be applications will open, and they open in April each year. And on top of the university applications will be EAS, SRS and ES, which is our access schemes for early entry, special consideration, and of course, equity scholarships. I'd like to thank you for having me here today, Bianca. And of course, if you have any further questions, please contact us at UAC. But also remember, the ATAR, of course, is just a rank, not a mark. It will not define you as a student for the rest of your life. It just tells us that at the end of Year 12, here you are positioned for that sole purpose of university entry. And if that number doesn't help you in the first instance, then there are many, many pathways that you can go forward with. Please choose courses that you like and are good at, and of course, explore all course possibilities and options.
Hi everyone, my name's Nish and I'm a 5th year arts law student studying at UNSW. I know most of you are in year 10 and some of you might even be in year 11 and 12 and are nearing the end of your high school experience. You're probably wondering what's after high school, and some of you may even be contemplating university. Today I'm here to share my experience from year 10 up until university and hopefully share some tips and tricks with you along the way. So let's take it back to the beginning. To be honest, I didn't think too much about uni while I was in year 10, but it's great that you guys all are. You're giving yourself the time to make a conscious decision about what HSC subjects you want to choose and what degree you eventually want to study. As you choose your subjects for year 11 and 12, you're probably looking into what prerequisite knowledge you require for your dream degree. But fear not, the decision you make in year 10 doesn't dictate the rest of your university studies. At UNSW, we don't have prerequisites, only assumed knowledge. What this means is we look at your overall selection rank for your dream degree and not your marks in individual subjects. However, having the assumed knowledge is really useful and it will help you in your first year. And it will make it a little bit easier. Especially if you already know what degree you want to do, we encourage you to do those assumed knowledge subjects for your HSC. But don't stress if you don't have the assumed knowledge, because at UNSW, we have heaps of bridging courses on offer to get you back up to speed. We encourage you to take the time in year 10 to figure out what interests you and what you eventually want to carry through into university. For example, I really loved history, which is why I chose modern history as my HSC subject. And I did really well in it, which allowed me to get a high selection rank. Because I really enjoyed it so much in high school, it allowed me to choose it as my major for my arts degree. And if you don't know what you want to study in university, don't worry at all, that's completely fine. We encourage you to come to our Year 10 experience days where we have fun workshops and small talks in all our different subject areas for you to discover what you're interested in. So now we're in year 11 where you've just chosen your HSC subjects. But it doesn't stop there, and there's heaps you can be doing during this time to improve your uni application. For the next 2 years, it's important that you focus not only just on your academic studies, but also building your extracurriculars and your experiences outside of high school. Unis don't only just look at your academic merit, they're also interested to see how well-rounded you are. We want to know who you are, what your hobbies, passions, and interests are. Especially here at UNSW, you're not just doing a degree. A big part of our uni is being involved in student life. For example, when I was in high school, I was a prefect, leading the school social justice club, playing netball and dancing. I was also able to carry these through into university by joining ARC's dance classes and volunteer programs. This is also a good time to be looking into scholarships, and if you're looking to move away from home, then accommodation on campus. And now we're in year 12, where you've just heard back from our friends at UAC and you're looking to put in your university preferences. Honestly, this can be quite a stressful time, but a key piece of advice that I would give myself is to not put too much pressure on yourself into getting into your dream degree. Here at UNSW, we have heaps of options to boost your options to getting into your dream degree. This can include extra admission schemes, adjustment factors, which are points that are added onto your ATAR for the HSC subjects that you choose and for your extra co-curriculars. And once you're here, we also have internal program transfer, which means if you don't like the degree that you chose in your first year, you can move to a different degree in your second year. This is also a good time to come check us out at UNSW Open Day. You don't have to be in year 12 to join, and we encourage you to come as early as possible to see what UNSW has to offer. Now you've made it into uni. I know uni can seem like a scary, unknown place, but I want to share some exciting aspects of uni life that you can look forward to. Firstly, you don't have classes 9 to 3 every day, which means you get to choose a timetable that works around you. This gives you the flexibility to work part-time, make friends, and even if you're like me, sneak a bit of a sleep in. Another thing is at UNSW, we have heaps of opportunities and societies for you to get involved in. From Food Lovers Society, to Debating Society, to even K-pop Society. There's something for everyone. This is a good way to explore current interests, create new ones, and make lifelong friends. We also have extremely lovely teaching and support staff who are more than happy to help if you have any questions. Finally, uni is a great way to gain some independence and learn more about yourself. Thanks so much for joining me on our speedy trip from year 10 to uni. I hope this was helpful. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out to our future student advisors. We hope you enjoyed the information session, and we can't wait to see you on campus soon at our Year 10 Experience Days and Open Day.
Thank you so much, Nish, and thank you so much to Trudy. I just want to call out, we've had a little problem with our slides, and I was just amazed at how Trudy could just speak to her material without her slides. If anyone has any questions, just remember we've got our Q&A sessions at the end, so you can jump into the student Q&A session because that's where Trudy will be if you have any questions about UAC and the ATAR. But let's dive into subject selection and just through the lens of UNSW entry. You know what, I hope my first point really helps everybody just feel so much at ease because I've got some great news. UNSW doesn't have prerequisites. We have something called assumed knowledge. Assumed knowledge is where the academics will start teaching you from a certain level with the assumption that you're already there. So they'll start teaching you from that level at day one. So I'll illustrate with an example. For example, the Bachelor of Commerce has an assumed knowledge of advanced mathematics. However, if you don't have the assumed knowledge, you can still apply for your dream degree. So assumed knowledge is not compulsory. If you don't have the assumed knowledge for your dream degree, there is so much support available. You can do a bridging course, you can get some tutoring. I'm sure you're going to make excellent friends who'll have great study groups, but just know that there is plenty of support. If you'd like to find out what assumed knowledge aligns to each of our degrees, feel free to just jump online and Google the UNSW Undergraduate Guide, and you can have a look at the assumed knowledge. And some more good news, some of our degrees have no assumed knowledge, so you'll really be starting from scratch and you'll feel really well set up. Okay, let's get into the HSC course structure. So all HSC courses have a unit value. So Trudy went into this a little bit, so I might just expand a bit. So most HSC courses are 2 units, and that equates to roughly 120 hours of study and a mark out of 100. Your 2-unit courses are things like modern history, advanced English, for example. And then you have the 1-unit courses. So that's equivalent to about 60 hours of study and a mark out of 50. So those 1-unit courses are things like extension English or extension maths. So why do they have a unit value? Why do we need to think about this? Well, in year 11, you have to do a minimum of 12 units. And in year 12, you do a minimum of 10 units. But just remember, there are a few stipulations. You can't choose any courses, so I'm just going to go through a few quick requirements you have to be aware of. And I just want to keep reminding you, you don't have to remember everything after this evening. Take this information away and have another read of it and ask a few questions. So the HSC requirements. So in both year 11 and 12 pattern of study, you have to have at least 4 subjects. So I'll illustrate this with an example because 4 subjects doesn't really sound like a lot. So if you enroll or if you choose Advanced English, so that's worth 2 units. If you do Extension 1 English, that's worth 1 unit. And then you do Extension 2 English, that's worth another unit. You've got 4 units covered there, but 1 subject because they're all English. So that's what we mean by 4 subjects. You've got to have at least 4 covered there. And they have to, it has to include English. So you have to do at least 2 units of English. So that would equate to 1 2-unit course. Another thing, so those of you who absolutely love science, just be aware that in year 11 you can do a maximum of 6 units of science courses, and in year 12 a maximum of 7 units. And at least 6 units need to be board developed courses. There's a little website at the bottom of the screen. Just feel free to access that website later and have a little bit more of a read around these requirements. But let's go into board developed courses now. So you've got different types of HSC courses. So board developed courses are the same across the state. So if you choose biology, the board developed course of biology, for example, and your friend who goes to a different school in a different location chooses the board developed course of biology, you're studying the same content and sitting the same exams. So it's very uniform across the state, and they can be used to contribute towards calculating your ATAR. Some board developed courses include life skills courses. Note that they don't have exams and they can't contribute toward your ATAR. So just be very mindful of that when you're choosing your courses. Board endorsed courses have a syllabus that's endorsed by NESA, the New South Wales Education Standards Authority, another little acronym there for you. And they will open up different types of career pathways. All right, so board developed courses and the ATAR. So you have category A courses, as Trudy mentioned. So they're the ones that have a lot of that academic rigor behind them. So if you choose something like chemistry or geology, that's a category A course, and they can be used to calculate your ATAR. We also have category B courses, so they are different areas. So they might have areas like human services or hospitality. Some of them might have vocational education and training background where you are required to go on a placement. But just note that only 2 units of category B courses can contribute toward calculating your ATAR. So you can't choose all category B courses. All right. Let's see if our slides are working. Whoops, there we go. Okay, so how are HSC marks calculated? So 50% of your overall HSC reported mark is from internal assessment. So that's everything you're doing in year 12, the assessments you sit. So half of that contributes to your HSC reported mark. It's also really good to note that if you experience any kind of extenuating circumstance that prevents you from sitting your external examination, so it has to be something like misadventure or illness. I hope nobody ends up in that situation. But if that does happen, you might be able to apply for an appeal where it might happen that your internal assessment marks can count for 100% of your HSC reported marks. But just bear in mind there is an appeal process, it is an application, and it's not guaranteed that all appeals are found successful. So that's internal assessment. And then you've got 50% external examination, that's your HSC exams. Bear in mind that if you are choosing a course like maybe visual arts or music, they have a practical component or a body of work, and that's included alongside the theoretical sit-down exam. So that's in essence how your HSC marks are reported. Satisfactory completion of course. I feel like it goes without saying. Everybody knows, and I feel like you're all very responsible and you will be absolutely fine, but just follow the syllabus of the board developed courses. Just make sure you're following all of the learning outcomes. You have to meet some or all of the learning outcomes. And just a tip here, be diligent, put in lots of effort, set goals and set tasks. You know, that's where you really tap into your support network. You can have a chat with your parents or your careers advisor, an older sibling or a teacher, and they might be able to sit down with you and just map out what's required, set a couple of goals, how can you get the most out of your study plan. And just a note, so if you are doing any kind of VET courses that require a placement, you have to successfully finish the placement in order to successfully complete your course. Quick note about the literacy and numeracy minimum standards. So from 2020, these standards came into play. There are 3 quick tests, so reading, numeracy and writing. The first 2 are multiple choice, and the third one, writing, you choose a scenario and you write a long answer. If you have any questions about this, you can jump onto the NESA website. There are plenty of resources for you and for your parents and teachers. Okay, HSC, all my own work. So what is this about? So this is primarily about plagiarism. If you don't know what plagiarism is, I'm going to illustrate it with an example. So if you're doing an assignment and you're researching away, you're online, you might be reading an article, a chapter in a book, and you're thinking, oh gosh, you know, this person, this author, everything they are saying, this is exactly how I want to illustrate all of my ideas and structure my argument. And there you are, you're typing away at your essay, for example, and you're really gaining so much inspiration from all of these ideas. But when you submit your assignment to have it marked, you don't in any way show that you got these ideas from the original author. You didn't reference them. So that's what plagiarism is. You can't pass off somebody else's ideas as your own. You can certainly use them for inspiration, but you must reference them within your assignment. And that's just a quick thing of having the author's name and the year of publication. But it's okay. It is serious. You can't commit plagiarism. So it's really important you understand how to reference appropriately, but this program will equip you, so no stress. We're going to teach you all of that. You're going to go through that through the HSC or my own work at school, and you'll be very prepared for year 11 and year 12 and university. Key considerations for course selection. Again, I want to reiterate Trudy's excellent advice. So choose according to your abilities. So what are you really good at? If you're good at it, you're more likely to perform a lot better, and therefore your final result will be better. What are you interested and motivated to do? So if you're interested in a particular course or a particular field of study, you're more likely to, put in the hours researching and finding out all of the interesting things and doing the assessments. So choose what you really, really love. Go by passion. The third point, I actually contemplated whether I should put the third point on this slide because it talks about career aspirations and needs. And some of you might already know what kind of career you'd like to have, and that's fantastic. Make sure you're choosing courses that really feed into that. But if you don't know, it's okay. I am in no way saying that you need to have a 5-year plan or a 10-year plan on a spreadsheet. Absolutely not. Maybe jot down a few ideas. Again, that's when you talk to your careers advisor, who can talk about things that you're really good at. Talk to your peers. People can offer you a really different perspective about what they think you're really good at, and you might not realize that about yourself. So yeah, have a chat and think about, well, what are the things I'm good at, and what could I really do with a career? Get really practical about it. Look at the syllabus requirements. Do you have any major works, any practical exams? Figure out how it fits within your schedule. Do you have other commitments? Are you part of a sport team? Do you have part-time work? Think about how you'll balance your schedule between study and everything else outside of study. And finally, before I wrap up and I hand over to Mitch, our current second current student, we have the HSC Credentials Record of School Achievement. So this is for eligible students who leave school before they sit their HSC exams, so they can still have a record of everything else they have achieved up until that point. So I will now hand over to Mitch. So Mitch and Cody, they're going to have a really nice chat about Mitch's decision-making process. So what was he thinking about when he was choosing his HSC courses, and what was he feeling? What was his strategy? And then what did he do as he moved into his first year of university? So I will hand over now. Thank you so much, Mitch and Cody.
Hi and welcome to UNSW. I'm Cody from the Future Students team, and today joining me we have Mitch Fay, who's a current student of ours. So earlier we had Nish take us through a speedy journey of what the next few years are going to look like and her journey into university. So along the journey she talked about some choices she had to make and the decision-making process that kind of went behind that. And with Mitch today we're going to take a deep dive into that decision-making process and how to navigate the next few years. So thanks for joining us, Mitch.
Thanks for having me.
So let's get started. Mitch, can you tell us about what you're studying and how far along you are?
Yep, so I am a second-year student. I'm studying Commerce and Advanced Science Honours. My major for Commerce is International Business. My major for Advanced Science is Psychology.
Wow, that's awesome. Really setting yourself up for some great options there. So I guess let's take it back. Let's take it back to year 10. Mm-hmm. Can you tell us what your decision-making process was like, looking at subjects and how to navigate that?
Yeah, for sure. So in year 11, I studied Extension English 1, Advanced Maths, Engineering, French, and Business and Economics. And then in year 12, I picked up Extension 2 English and then dropped Engineering and French. So I'll walk you through a bit of a process that I had throughout those 2 years. So then I was able to, make a really good and informed decision. So first thing I did was that I studied what I was passionate about. So I was really passionate about, business and the economy. And I knew that, I potentially may want to do that at university. So I really looked at, doing business studies and economics. Because I knew that those are where my interests lie. The benefit of doing that is that you're able to maximize your marks because you're actually really interested in the work that you're doing and you're driven to do well in those subjects. And by doing that, you're then able to maximize your selection rank for university. So the next thing that I did was I identified the strengths that I had. So some students, their strengths lie in creativity. So they might consider doing visual arts or dance. Other students are more mathematically orientated, so they might consider doing, math-heavy subjects like engineering or extension maths. And other students are more orientated in the humanities, so that they might consider the HSC subjects or extension English. So for me, I was very humanities orientated. So my year 12 subjects were, English, and then HSC subjects with one math subject. So by identifying your strengths, it kind of plays into your interests as well. So it helps to maximize your selection rank as well there. The third thing I did was, and this is looking at selecting subjects more strategically. So I checked the assumed knowledge for UNSW, for the Commerce and the Advanced Science Honours, which was the degree that I was interested in. So the assumed knowledge there is advanced maths. And so that was my rationale behind picking advanced maths, even though I was maybe perhaps more orientated in the humanities. So it's really important that you understand what assumed knowledge is required of you, so then you're able to best prepare yourself for the degree you're interested in. If you find yourself studying courses that don't align with a particular degree in the future, so let's say you did standard maths and you're interested in a degree that has advanced maths, you are able to take bridging courses and get a lot of support here as well once you actually come to university. And the last thing that I did was I really contextualized how my studies would fit in with the rest of my life. So I looked at what I was doing in my life at the time as well as studies, and that's really important to do because you don't want to burn out. So I remember when I first burnt out, it was May in 2019, and it's not a great feeling to have, and it can really throw you around and can really hinder your studies. So it's important to know, what it is that you're also doing in your life. So are you working? Are you playing sport? For me, I was in the wind orchestra from year 7 all the way to year 12. And I was also in the SRC up until year 11, and I was a prefect in year 12. So I had to really work my studies in with the other things that I was doing. I was also working part-time. And that also goes for major works as well. So understanding and knowing which subjects in year 12 have major works. Extension to English, visual arts, and society and culture, for instance. I had some friends that did all 3 subjects, and having 3 major works is quite stressful at times. So just being able to manage that in with everything else that you're doing is really important to do.
Definitely. I can remember my major work being due for art and having a similar breakdown moment. So I don't know how doing 3 would be, but you do you. So I guess there's a lot to consider. So are there any particular people that students can talk to really navigate that process?
Yeah, for sure. Students can definitely talk to their careers advisor, their teachers, and any family members and anyone else that they trust. So going to a careers advisors and teachers are really important because the teachers are the ones that kind of know what the study load will look like for each subject, and the careers advisors will be able to advise them on which subjects may be best to pick depending on what they're interested in the future. So I spent a lot of time talking to my careers advisor and the head of welfare at my school to just kind of understand what my options were in the future, but also to just get some advice on some study tips and just some general well-being throughout year 11 and 12.
Yeah, they're definitely a wealth of knowledge for you to talk to and really bounce some ideas off. So looking forward, why UNSW? Why are you here with us?
Well, I guess I fell in love with the community and the opportunities that were on offer here. So firstly, in terms of the academic side, I had a lot of flexibility around the degree that I wanted to do and how the actual structure would look like. So because of the 3+ structure that we have here, I was able to fit in a lot of part-time work and not be too stressed with uni at the same time, which has been really, really beneficial for me, as I'm someone who likes to, kind of balance a bit of everything in life. And I guess as well, the clubs and societies that we have on offer here has been, a really great experience, and having that student life aspect as well as your academics has been really important for me. So I remember in my first year, I got involved with the QSOC Society, so I got to go play pool in the city and out at Burwood, which was really fun. Yeah, I got to play in a first year's competition, which was very exciting. I unfortunately lost in the first round, but it was a good experience nonetheless. And this year I've kind of focused more on the UNSW Esports Society. So they run a casual league for different games every term. So I've entered in that for 2 terms now with some friends, which has been really exciting. They actually streamed one of our matches on Twitch, which was really cool. So yeah, it's just great to be part of that community, but also have the flexibility of being able to study in a way that suits me best.
Yeah, that sounds so exciting, and it's so important to have that balance when you're studying at university and even through the HSC. So let's come back to that framework. How do we evaluate options when choosing which university that we're going to pick?
Yeah, for sure. So I've got 4 recommendations that students consider when they're evaluating the options. So the first thing is to really identify what matters to them. So, just take 5 minutes just to jot down some notes on, why you want to go to university and what you want to get out of it. And then this will help them kind of make a really informed decision in terms of, which university they're interested in. So they'll be able to look for these when they, go to open days and stuff like that. So for me, the things that really mattered were high quality teaching standards and flexibility to be able to fit in other things in my personal life. So I had those in the back of my mind when I was evaluating my options, and yeah, I found it really beneficial to consider those things. I think the next thing that students should really consider doing is experiencing uni before they actually come to uni. So we have Year 10 experience days on offer for Year 10 students to kind of see what it's like to be a student at UNSW. And we've also got open day as well, which is available for all students, 10 to 12, where they can actually come and see what it's like to study on campus and to see all of the amazing opportunities that we have on offer. I think the third thing that students really should do is kind of the same thing for their Year 11 and 12 subjects, is to really study what you're passionate about. So you're going to get a lot more out of your degree if you're doing something that you really enjoy. And that you're doing something that you can see yourself doing in the future. So studying something that you're passionate about is super important. And if you find yourself doing something that you're not really interested in at first, don't be afraid to change. That's also a really important thing to keep in mind. For me, I was really interested in business in Year 11 and 12, and then kind of towards the end of Year 12, I was really interested in psychology. And so I was really excited to, bridge the two together in my double degree to be able to study exactly what I wanted to do. And I think the fourth thing that students should do is to talk to their careers advisors and teachers especially. So careers advisors have a working knowledge of all universities, and they'll be able to guide the students with their options in terms of what they should do, and the teachers can provide them with their own experiences. I had a couple of teachers that did that for myself and for some of my friends in Year 12, and so that's really invaluable information because it's information that us as students don't have yet, and so being able to have that advice can really help make an informed decision.
Definitely. We have so many great fun opportunities for students to get involved in before they start university. But let's take us through some quick fire questions. So I've got 5 of them for you.
Yep.
Just 2 words. Some of them might need a few more, but let's fire away. So what's your favourite thing about your degree?
It'd have to be the integrated first year in the commerce degree.
Awesome. Your favourite spot on campus?
Definitely the library lawn. Yep.
Love that. And coffee, where's your go-to?
Definitely Plume, next to the business school. Amazing coffee.
Awesome. What about extracurricular activities?
At the moment, it would have to be UNSW Esports.
And what are the most exciting things you're looking forward to in the next few years of your degree?
That would have to be probably the student exchange opportunities that are on offer.
Awesome. We have over 300 exchange partners globally, so that will be awesome for you to be able to choose there. So unfortunately, that's all we have time for today. Thanks so much, Mitch, for joining us.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
We hope to see you on campus at UNSW soon, and good luck with all of your choices.
Thank you so much, Mitch and Cody. that's all we have time for presentation-wise. Before we head off into our virtual Q&A sessions, I just want to say, explore UNSW. That is the key. Explore all of the different universities. If you are thinking about potential pathways after you have chosen your HSC subjects, please feel free to come along to our Year 10 Experience Days in July. So that's where you can really experience the campus. You can dive into exciting workshops and get a feel for what it's like to be a UNSW student if you are considering university as a potential pathway after studying your HSC. We'll also have Open Day. Open Day is when the entire university will be activated. You can meet all of the different faculties, speak to lots of current students, talk to them about their experience in clubs and societies. Those registration links, not quite ready yet, but they will be sent through our parents newsletter and through our educators newsletter to your careers advisor. So you will definitely get the link and you can register to attend and just come and experience the UNSW campus. If you are still curious after tonight, after we've had our live Q&A sessions, please feel welcome to always reach out to our UNSW Future Students Office. Our Future Student Advisors are basically UNSW encyclopedias. They know everything there is to know about UNSW. So if you have any questions, feel free to give them a call. You can live chat with them online or send them an email. Okay, so it is now question time. So we've got a students' room and a parents' room. It's very, very simple. Have a look at the announcement box on the screen, and what the team is going to do is they're going to drop the links in there, and you just simply click on the link and then you'll be able to drop into your Q&A session. There might be a teensy little delay when it comes from moving from this virtual room into your Q&A virtual room, but just bear with us. Just wait there and we will see you very, very shortly. Again, I just want to say thank you so much for joining us tonight. It has just been wonderful, wonderful to have you all on the line. And I will see you very, very shortly in the Parents Q&A. Thank you.